Or maybe you can keep an issue anyway, but we should switch to have an archive as a file after.
Okay, so move it to pull request.
Yeah, but let's discuss outside of this call.
Yep, that sounds good. So I'm live streaming, so we're recording. And if you guys, like just to recap quickly, we have the whole Gno.land core team, and we also have some of our community contributors on Block and Sage. And then you guys have a link to a potential agenda that I've put together. We will hopefully have a best of joke from Petar. I added, I don't know if this is possible yet for Jay and Manfred to talk about the DAG updates. Then maybe get updates from Sage and from OnBlock. We talked 2 weeks ago about the Merkle airdrop realm issue with Albert. Potentially an IBC update with Jay, benchmarking the CLI refactor issue, 731. And the other point that maybe the garbage collector updates. And then also there was a discussion, I think that just was ongoing about the pardon my, but bit integer, the total supply and balance discussion. That was also
and maybe the ID.
No ID. Sorry, no ID.
IDE from Ilker.
Yeah, I have that there too. So I think, Ilker, if you do have updates, it's on the docket, but if not, yeah. So I guess just to kick us off, Petar, we're here to hear a quick joke.
Wait, are these for the end of the meeting? I think they're best for the close.
Prefer to share it at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
So maybe
maybe then Jay and Manfred, do you guys want to kick it off with the DAG?
Yes, so we have two options. One is to just explain what we've done and explain what we will do.
Yeah.
The other option is to, but I think we should, before ask the rest of the audience what they want to discuss, but an option is to actually try to build the DAG together, because right now we only have an alpha version, both in terms of content and display. So yeah, if you look at github.com/gnolang/roadmap, we now have a repository containing issues that are linked together using the official GitHub way of linking issues and PRs together by using related with, depends on, blocking, etc., and linking to another member. And we have a tool building a DAG with the order of completion of each issues to progressively go from current state to launch, and then to go from launch to the future, the vision, etc. So the tool is basic. Right now, it only uses a simple graph viz output. I think it won't scale as soon as we will have more details. So probably we will need to find ways to group some issues together, to create some views where we hide maybe everything after the mainnet, so we can have something more about what we are doing right now, and another doc more complete with the whole, the big picture. And in addition to the rendering itself, just so you know, the content is not finished at all. So yeah, you can look at it. I think the issues then can be used by us, Jamie, and maybe other people to explain the roadmap, the vision. But maybe the issues then can be used as discussion or linking to other implementation issues and pull requests. Because yes, right now the tool is limited to this repo, with one issue is basically an epic or a milestone. But technically, the tool could also fetch the other repo from the ecosystem, and then create a graph with real-time data, like ongoing PRs, the closed one, the open one, etc. So yeah, I think it could be worth it to build the whole roadmap together in public, but we will just hijack the whole meeting. So I suggested to Jay on DM that we make a first version together to just have maybe the 80% of the roadmap, and then we can make a deeper presentation and reply to, like an AMA, reply to all the questions on the roadmap, the vision, and yeah, challenge it, maybe find shortcuts. So yeah, I suggest just discussing a few minutes if you want on details, but then to wait for another session dedicated on the content, where we can reply to all the questions and give more visibility. Probably it could be good content for blog posts and tweets to explain more the project.
Is it possible today to do the 5-minute visual presentation that you ran us through, or that's also
Sorry, I can try to join, but I don't know if I have Zoom on this computer. Let me install it in the background and speak about something else, and I will try to share my screen after.
Okay.
But basically, it will be like Mighty. Just I put a big disclaimer. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, but it was, for me at least, it was really helpful.
Yeah, it is, I think, but we just don't. Yeah, we need to take care not taking this as a source of truth at the moment. Yeah, I'll let you continue on other topics, and I will set up a Zoom in the meantime.
Okay, so since we have OnBlock and Sage and Zach as well, Zach's, I don't know if everyone has met Zach, but he's also kind of joining the ecosystem.
Yeah, do you want me to do a little introduction?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Hi, yeah, my name is Zach Scholl. I've been coding in Go probably for over 10 years now, since the early days. I haven't done much Web3, but I'm very excited about Web3, especially doing it in Go. My day job is actually, I'm an inventor, so I'm sort of tinkering around with this language and seeing what it can do. And I'm hoping to push things back as I kind of find problems or find solutions. Yeah, I'm really excited to learn more.
A resident tinker. So welcome. Then maybe OnBlock, do you want to give a quick update on how it's going?
Yeah, sure. I can start. Hey, this is Andrew, by the way, from OnBlock, and as Gno.land shared in the previous call, we've been building a concentrated liquidity market maker called NoSwap, and simply put, it's going to be a protocol somewhat similar to Uniswap v3, but built on Gno.land. And we've been actively developing it, and we've actually recently just open sourced the interface repo, which contains all the code for the front end. Let me actually share it in chat for everyone. Here's the link to the repo, and we're also working on the core contract side, which we also hope to open source very soon. But before that, we have a few important ongoing PRs in the No repo that need to be addressed, such as the BigInt and Create2 and contract interaction, all of which are pretty crucial for our progress. So hopefully we can thoroughly discuss these with core members and kind of get a clearer direction. And yeah, I think that's about it for NoSwap. And do you have anything to add, Dongwon?
Yeah, sure. I'm Dongwon from OnBlock. And for Adena, we are adding the GRC20 support is almost done, and we're expecting to roll out this new version of Adena next week. And with this update, users will be able to manage and send GRC20 tokens. So we are pretty excited for this. And following this update, we'll be making a tutorial of how to issue a GRC20 token in the developer docs, which will be helpful for GF developers. So yeah, that's pretty much it from our side.
Wow, that's really, I just got the GitHub no swap. Is this something that we can demo soon, or I guess use soon?
Well, I guess we can showcase the front end pretty soon, but well, as I mentioned earlier, we still need to figure out some of the issues with the Gno.land itself before we can complete the core contract. So yeah, not
What
sure on
issues?
the ETA on the demo.
Okay. Are they issues that you want to talk about now, or? With the team?
Well, I think it makes more sense. Well, I don't think I'm the proper person to address those issues. So I think it will make more sense to discuss on GitHub with our core devs.
Sounds good.
So yeah,
This
maybe
is
better
really cool.
just get. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And then Ian, do you want to give an update or on Sage and how it's going?
Sure, I can give a quick update. I was out last week, so I'm still in catch-up mode.
Well, yeah,
for spring break with my kids last week, but yeah, so we are continuing to kind of work, I would say, one level higher on the DAO tooling that we've been wanting to put together. I think it's more kind of at the philosophical and structural level of like what we think actually belongs as functionality in a DAO. And we'll continue to start to filter that down into what actually needs to interact with the blockchain, at the lower level as smart contracts become more and more accessible inside of Gno.land. And so that's where we've been spending most of our focus recently. So, not quite as cool of an update as the swap and other things that are going to be really tangible, I think, quickly, and, great dApps that sit on top, but we're continuing to work down kind of the DAO tooling chain for us. So
that's good. And if you ever have anything you want to demo or show, just let us know. I think Manfred, I hand it over to maybe you on the DAG.
Sorry, I was mute. Yeah. So yeah, just to give a preview on what it will be. So the Gno.land roadmap repo contains issues which are displayed on an automatic DAG. And for instance, if you look at launch Gno.land mainnet, which is sorry, I can't find it. Mainnet. Yeah, sorry. You will have. So these terms are understood by GitHub and probably many other tools. And this is what is used by the rendering engine to display the DAG. So right now we need to work on the content. So it will be more detailed and more accurate and actually more true, because it's probably not only incomplete, but maybe false on some part. And then we can start linking, for instance, proof of contribution here as its place in the official high-level roadmap, but it's also something linked with this issue. So on the main repo. So at the beginning, we will start making a simple roadmap for blog posts, README, whatever. But then we can imagine having relationship between the main repo and specific issues, PRs, and the roadmap. Right now, it's just about having maybe another graph, but maybe later we can expect having a bot or something that will annotate the issues and make it more clear on what we are working on, how many competitive solutions are working on the same topic, etc. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll make another session, but I really want to make a first one with Jay so we can save you 2 hours of just thinking to make the initial version that will then be used to be challenged by everyone. And I suggest also to be the one used for an AMA where we can explain whatever needs to be explained. Is there any question, or is it clear enough for this stage?
Nope.
Albert, do you want to discuss about your issue on the Merkel airdrop depending on many other additional features like the contract, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we talk already a lot about the situation. I don't think there is many moved. We make yesterday with Thomas a quick call with a good friend that is a Solidity expert to have his ideas and get some ideas about him, about how it works and everything. So yeah, we are and we are trying, and I'm currently writing like a big resume of the all contract to contract communication situations. So maybe it will help clear everybody's mind and all that.
You're talking about this one?
Like this issues is mostly like a big ideas of and like big question just how to hold the treasury contract and how contract to contract should work. After there is like many, yeah, there is many other issues like this one. So yeah,
I was just asking if you are talking about the meta issue with all the related discussions, because we know of one created 1 hour ago. 757 gives a current way to import contract because some people won't know how to import a contract, and actually this is the most enigmatic way in Gno.land. And there are at least 3 identified extensions to this contract pattern needs. One about having IBC style with events that we can receive and send on different channels. Another one with synchronous call, when you can pass an arbitrary package name, so you can expect this string to be dynamic. Another one where we don't touch anything, so not about having dynamic, but about the discussion on how we can have some packages identified as accounts. So the one we discussed during the last event with Jay on having context that can be set to arbitrary values, and at the end we can communicate with the called contract and give more details more in the context. And actually, it can bypass the 2 PRs, the mine and yours, on exec as package, which was in STD. Now it can be just a library that basically sets the context before and unset it after, and that's all. So just with a way to set context, and then contract are allowed to read the context or just don't care. But we have a way to have things like potential UID and executive UID, group ID, etc. Or anything.
Okay, and so when you do an STD call, the orange color is changed, I guess, right?
Yeah, that the STD.call is a second one. It's not this one, because this one doesn't require to have any STD.call added. It's just about having ways to let things on the context, like on the official context package. This one, STD package, has at least 2 implementations. With a recent one, 715 is very recent. And yeah, there is some things to define in terms of, because right now it creates a new machine. So in terms of stack, it's like a subcall, but you don't have the transaction. So actually, there are many things to review. Call package. If you look at this, it will create a new machine, and we'll do it at the end. So yeah, there are many things to regard in terms of transparency and stack, and potentially determinism. So yeah, there are ongoing work on this. I think it won't take 1 week to be done, because that's a huge change with many considerations. In the meantime, there are the ongoing work on the asynchronous one with IBC style calls. Sorry, why is it? Sorry, I'm lost myself. 757. Yeah, there is a one with IBC made by Maxwell, where you can receive events that were stored before you call the contract, and you can append new event to a channel or a queue. And then there is this one, which is actually maybe the easiest one, because it's just about extending the call stack to have custom map of attributes. And that's all. There are also security concerns, but it's probably the easiest implementation. But it won't fix, it won't address the need of having dynamic imports. I think in your case, it should be enough, Albert, this one.
Wait, can we,
yeah.
Let's talk about these. Because okay, so I don't think we should have, so I'm looking at issue 757. And I get that we want to support IBC, create some kind of an IBC API, but I don't think we should expose something like std.call. Like maybe it's something we use natively, but I don't think it's something that should be exposed to the user. So I do think we're going to need some kind of magic, something in order to make IBC calls seamless. It's just, but I don't think that means we should be exposing dynamic calling ability, because it destroys type safety. And if there's a way to do it without that, then I think that's what we should do.
So basically, we can, with IBC style, append event. In the case of IBC, it's not a problem that it's asynchronous. In the case of non-IBC, I think it's not possible to just force people to wait for another transaction. So maybe we need to find a way to append the event, and in the same transaction, make something that will wake up the called contract, so you can have the reply in the same call. For me, that's the biggest challenge with IBC style that you want synchronous. How can we wake up the second call with determinism, especially if the second call is calling yourself? Yeah, I think this is the biggest issue.
I don't quite understand this part here. Synchronous calls.
I think it's not possible, or it's too limiting, to have an IBC compatible API for contract-to-contract interaction that is only synchronous and requires you to basically have to make 3 ops to have the full execution. If your contract wants to make a call and depend on the return, you will have to call your contract so it appends an event, then call the other contract so it executes and reply to the event, and then come back to the original one to fetch the reply. I think that's how Chainlink is working to, for instance, put the stablecoin price on chain, but it's not synchronous. It's about requesting in the first call and consuming later. I think when people are, we have multiple implementation of the STD call. Multiple people were thinking about this one because they want this dynamic import, but they want something synchronous. In the case of IBC, it's too much unsafe. In the case of contract-to-contract interaction, it's technically possible to make a synchronous call to another contract with arbitrary import paths and methods.
Yeah, but that's. I don't think we should support synchronous arbitrary calls with like std.call. Yeah.
I just want to chip in. This is the idea to chip in. I totally agree. We shouldn't allow that because that completely removes that static check. Because this way, that we can call a method that does not exist at all. And also, people. That's number one. So you can call a method or a packet that does not exist in the pre-exist at all. So people can add whatever they want later on. Okay, this introduces a big problem for the backdoor. The second problem is, people when we enable this, developer will become creative. They're gonna create all kinds of ways to generate a package name that is very hard to audit. Okay, because you can create whatever, introduce different ways, string names and dynamically generate a method name and the package name that it does not exist. It would be really hard for people to audit the contract, and I don't see there's a gain that we're doing this, allowing people to do that.
And also someone could just, if you use a variable or something on the package, if someone managed to hack this and just switch the call to a malicious package, and the guy just can like steal all the funds and everything, then the guy is like kind of roots directly just because the variable got hacked. I believe it's really dangerous.
Yeah,
I just want to chime in here. The STD call right now is I think so. In the example in this meta issue, it is using the like a string as the argument and string as like a package name. And like this is, I agree that this is like a, you are just calling a method with just like fetching some method endpoint using it just like a string name. And I agree that this is not something that we should expose to like end users, like type checking and the restricted form of the method call, where the only the existing methods could be called with the compatible types are necessary and absolutely requirement for the securities. But the thing that I want to emphasize here is that we need some way to so for example, if you import a package in like import syntax in the top of the file, you can just call a method using the dot, the selector syntax of that specific package. And I think adopting that syntax for a calling other functions, calling other a package function is something that we want to use for a synchronous method calls and a synchronous inside of a single realm, inside of a single chain, sorry.
And also about the synchronous, I think it's a synchronized because if the transaction does not return anything for IBC calls, and it will not be a success at the end, right? So basically, all the messages are simultaneously executed on both chain, and then the relay just sync the states. So basically, result actually show up on both chains.
Yep.
So so there's no synchronous issue at all.
So I just want to take from the case where we want to use this sort of a synchronous call inside. First of all, I think that we should still take account of this IBC asynchronous cases. And this is something we want to absolutely want to integrate it with the any sort of the contract interaction, and we need to take account of this asynchronous calls. The reason I keep like emphasizing about this synchronous call is that one use case we need in like a Gno.land and the application side is that you, for example, if you make like a pool contract or like a some like a factory generated contract, you want some way to interact with them. So you want to make like a call some swap function, for example, or some method inside of the dynamically constructed, dynamically deployed pool, like a factory generated pool, and you want to get result to take like a rest of the operations. And even though it could be done in a asynchronous manner too, even though you could like take the rest of the work inside of the say callback functions, and I think that's like still workable, but it would be also good if we can support some sort of synchronous fashion of the function call inside of the contract platform.
This already supported, it's exactly for your use case. You can pass a function as a parameter or interface as callback to another contract, and when the VM executed this is a one transaction. There's the synchronous of this callback is already guaranteed by the existing VM.
I see. Is it possible to like send a capture the outside variables inside of the like a stack frame inside of the callback? So is it possible to like use the say there's like you are sending a closure function to as a callback to this callback style function call? Is it possible to capture a local stack variable inside of that closure so that can be like used or accessed after the callback is sent and sent back after this round trip?
I think the callback function will work exactly as a regular Go code.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Just wanted to clarify this. Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly you can do exactly as it is in a regular Go language to do the callback, including using local variable in the enclosure. Yeah.
Without like any security or like some real problem while crossing boundaries of between the packages. Like I don't know, like I think you have like a deeper understanding of the like a Gno VM right now, like a reference counting for like a real and variables and those stuffs.
I think wait, okay, so we're talking about contract to contract call on chain, on a single chain.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like we should. Why don't we just say if you want synchronous calls, you have to do the regular import, and then at first, if you want to use IBC, you can. I guess you can do it within the same chain, but that it's asynchronous if you want to do it that way. Seems like a good start, and then on top we can build whatever else we need. But if we're going to go through IBC, I think assuming an asynchronous foundation seems like the right step. So not building any kind of magic, synchrony magic if you're going to go through an IBC connection. Well, yeah. I guess the question to me is, I don't know how to reconcile our thinking at the moment, but I'll just talk through a bit about what I'm thinking. So for IBC calls, we want to figure out what the right encoding is for the arguments, right, that are going to be passed to the other chain. And I don't know what that is, but maybe, it seems like we might do something like some number of arguments. Maybe every argument has a string form, perhaps, or maybe it's got a byte form, or maybe it's typed. I'm not sure. Okay, so and then, yeah, we would call a dot send, right? Maybe it's not a simple channel like that. Maybe the interface we need is more like, here's a request packet, and then later we can check to see if that object got a response, perhaps, or just a callback. So maybe there's a request to response object, perhaps. But when okay, so sending a request, the request arguments should go into the send function somehow, right, in order to get encoded and so on. But the receive, I wonder if mostly but then from the perspective of the contract that's being called, so if I'm a contract on one chain and then some other chain is calling me, I guess from the perspective of the callee, a call from an IBC connection maybe doesn't look any different than a call from like a message call or a transaction, right? So it just from the receiver's point, it just looks like any other call. But maybe on the VM side, or not the VM side, but the keeper, right, and the handler, maybe it's got something special where it calls. So when it receives a packet, an IBC packet, internally it calls the VM, it captures the response, it serializes the response, and then immediately puts it into the queue for IBC response. So it seems like the major question is, what is the serialization format? And I guess June, you'll know more about how arguments should best be represented. But I know that there's one standard we should look at, which is just ABI, right? Ethereum ABI. Arguably, that's what we should adopt as some kind of an encoding system for IBC calls. Yeah, I'm not sure what else there would be. But yeah, maybe the answer is for every object we have. Well, we could start with strings, I suppose, right? That would be simple to get started as a demonstration, and then later we can upgrade it to not just be a slice of string arguments, but we can make it work through ABI with Ethereum or other chains. But anyways, my point is that yeah, we need to figure out, discuss how the arguments are serialized in IBC, and I think we should focus on creating the asynchronous version of IBC calls, and that on the receiver of an IBC packet, it functions more or less just like a synchronous call locally. It's just that the response then gets queued to go back as a response. if that makes sense. And then otherwise, for now, if you want to call anything synchronously, then you just need to do a regular import. And then I think this is enough that that we can build more or less what we need on top of these foundations, I think.
A question. So when we say IBC call, do we assume there's the destination chain has a GNU VM module already? Or that is not necessary?
Yeah, I think that's the way to get started. Yeah, and then we I think we should work toward. I think we should assume that on the other side there's a GNU VM. Yeah, and then that'll give us a prototype that works, right? And then we can talk about how best to make it work with other systems. I think.
Okay, good. Then if that's the case, what about that we just add a destination chain as a prefix in, as in calling a IBC address, so that we can statically import package from another chain?
Can you repeat that? How is that static? What?
Because when we call basically we try to call another package and the method from chain A to chain B, right, through the IBC. So if the chain B, which is the chain that has a package or method to be called, and then because all this IBC chain has a prefix, so that we can reference the package, the ring package name statically.
Like import, like no.
Yeah,
no
import
dot world.
That's right. Let's say, for example, put a IBC chain prefix before
I think it is. No, it's Gno.land is the prefix. It's not a cryptographic hash, but then we can use something similar to Go vanity URL and just register on Gno.land metadata, something or in configuration that Gno.land is actually this chain.
I think it makes I think what we're saying is it would be good to have, like, if Gno.land is one chain and no world is another chain, then shouldn't we be able to say import no world / whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of Gno.land / Gno.land or anything, it's another chain, so might as well just call it no world. Go by the name of the chain. And I think this works for importing pure packages, P packages, which are immutable or supposed to be immutable. So you should be able to import no world / P / whatever. And if that package exists, then it should work, I think, eventually. Right? So we want to get there eventually, not yet. But in terms of calling anything with state, so importing a realm thing, I don't think that would work, because the expectation with anything import is that you can call it synchronously. You can interact with it synchronously by calling, dot whatever function, package function, or even mutating a variable. But we can't do that. We can't have, it's not synchronous. It has to be asynchronous. So I think for realm interaction, that we need to call a function, but we need to get a connection to it rather than have it be an import declared statically. But that said, what we could do is, maybe this is what you were saying, Manfred, is we could have some kind of a representation of the other chain of the other realm. Okay, so for example, we might be able to import no world / r / I don't know, Jaquan / whatever. And if we do that, maybe we can get the right types that we need. So maybe that's how we get. So if a realm, if my realm, if no world / r / Jaquan / demo, whatever, if it has a certain type, like you need to call a function with this type, and it's a particular structure with many fields, then it would be nice if that structure could be imported, right, from the caller, even though it can't be used for a synchronous call because it's on the other chain. We can still use that structure to populate the arguments. So eventually, I think we want to get to the point where we can maybe auto-generate and get some of the types of the remote realm and import that. But I don't think we can import. I don't think I don't think we can support synchronous calls in this way.
Just so you know, we are talking about this more important topic, but we are thinking about something similar for Go client, where you could import from Go Gno.land board something, and instead of having a GNU context, you just have an automatic SDK from Go. So calling get username will transparently call the chain to get it. So it just so you know that we have in mind about generating code dynamically for to be used by other things. So in your case, it's different because the code will be in GNU but with a different behavior, just by becoming asynchronous by default. But we had in mind, especially because @pkg is today limited to adding sources, but we can maybe generate some stuff dynamically and store it, or just generate something later. But at the end, we should be able to generate clients, which can be another chain client or a Web2, JS client, Go client, whatever. I think it makes sense for Go, so you can just import any GNU package from Go, and you have a client for free, easy to use. But let's discuss this later and come back to the specific IBC constraint. Anyway, what I was thinking is just, for source passing, for me, the prefix is already existing. It's a domain name. But for safety, we should find something where the domain name is understood. So if we are running a Gno.land node and we import GNU world node, the goal is to find a secure way to make it understood by everything that GNU.world is available through this IBC connection, or maybe through a RPC call at the beginning. But making a bridge between a human readable name, which is already the prefix, to the destination in terms of secure way of fetching the source. So at the end, it's about having a prefix, but we already have it, except that it's not secure, but it's human readable. So it's about finding a way to make the mapping. And we can use a Govanity system, which is just using HTTP or DNS, I don't know, for a simple thing. And then we should find a solution when you run a node, and maybe you want some cryptographic proof of configuration when you start depending on other chains. But anyway, the discussion was mostly about synchronous contract interaction on a single chain, and the goal here is to use IBC compatible API to just have a unified way to call anything. But this issue was specifically for the single chain, which is actually the main topic, because for the future one, we need to get inspiration, but it will require to be mainnet, to have IBC, maybe have IBC2, etc. So we need to take it into account when designing. But right now, we have a shortcut how to make contract interaction on a single chain. So I don't know if you look at the screen, Jay, but I made a table with all the pros and not pros and cons, but features of each method. So the default one is type safe, very simple. It's synchronous, but it does not support having dynamic calls like the proxy pattern and solidity, or just ways to change, to make dynamic calls simply. And then we have the 3 ongoing efforts, the one by Maxwell to make an IBC compatible API even for single chain interaction. So this one will be asynchronous. And then we have STD call, which was the one actually with the most chance to have dynamic call while being synchronous. That's the only one with synchronous and dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think we should support .call. And I don't think we should support .context either. So I think what we should do is, so the first one, import and call, that's obvious. We already have that.
Yeah.
And then what we want is first we want a way to encode and decode arguments in Gno. And I think we should only support at first I think we should only support maybe primitive types, so we can stringify them, we can turn them to strings. So every argument maybe needs to be a primitive type, and maybe we don't support any structures at first. But we can have any number of arguments. So if you want an IBC compatible function, then it just has to, the arguments just has to be like primitive. Okay. And then yeah, we just use .send and .receive at first. And I don't think we need to do any of the crazy things where you import no world / any of the types. I don't think we need any of that in the beginning, because you don't need it. Because if you already know, and so what I mean is we should do it iteratively, right? And start slow, and this way it's really easy to get started. Later, we're going to figure out how to call IBC with non-primitive types like structure, and then we'll have another conversation, and still we don't have to import no world / r / whatever types. We don't need that yet. We can still, a user should, so this is a future conversation, right? Maybe after the first iteration. The second iteration will support structured arguments, but still, one should be able to just declare the structure type shape you need locally. So not no world, but you should just be able to declare locally in Gno.land, like argument type as a structure, right? And then just pass that in, because it's got more or less the same shape of structure. And the encoding system should be flexible enough to encode it into a structure which gets read and interpreted as a native structure on the other chain. So that's why so that's why the encoding argument discussion is important, because there's going to be some looseness there, if that makes sense, right? So I can pass in a structure declared locally in Gno.land, and because the ABI system is flexible, it can get interpreted as a local structure on the other chain. So maybe this is the way we should do it. Whether there's looseness in types across ABI, I think that's the right way to do it. But it also comes with restrictions. It also means you can't do certain things. But the point is, so there's going to be some trade-offs we'll have to discuss about how IBC calls across chain works and how much looseness there is. But we can have that conversation iteratively. And at first we can just support send and receive with primitive stringified arguments, right? Simple enough. And then I don't think we should support synchronous anything across IBC. And we can build on top of the asynchronous thing, and maybe in the future we'll have other synchronous things, but we'll probably have to have a deeper discussion about concurrency first. And then set context, I don't think we should have either, but that's another conversation. I think the context should be, it should not be based on, like, it should not be something you can mutate. Like if I'm in a realm, right, and the realm function is running, and then this realm wants to call another realm function, right? Then the context is, the caller of the second function is the previous realm. I mean, I don't think we should allow dynamism there, because that also introduces additional unsafety, right? It's not statically type safe. It's not statically safe. That's my point. So all the caller stuff as it is right now, get caller at, get caller, or get original caller. These are all determined based on the static code, and it's not something you can mess with dynamically. I think that should always be the case.
I'm not sure. You're talking about dynamic and context, but it's about staying static with static import, static type. It's not about changing the way we import or call. It's a way to add metadata to call, so you can consume the context. It's more like the context.context API. But it doesn't mean that we change the way we import or execute or change the variable.
Look at this. Okay, so look at this example. It's got vault exec.
Yeah.
And then what is the first line doing? It's saying set context package as account.
Yeah.
What is it doing?
It's adding to the context of this frame that this type package as account, which is, I don't know, a type, whatever defined in the rules, user.land package, no equals to true, meaning that the next callee can look at the if in the frame the caller, or maybe the grandparent caller, set this variable. It's not about setting the context generally. It's about setting the context for this frame. It's a way to indicate to the callee that as a frame, I want to give you additional metadata.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
what I'm.
Yeah, just a quick question on that. The package as accounts, do you make a distinction between package and realm or not? Because
it's a type. It's like context.context. The PKG, GoDev, context. When you set a context, where is it? I don't remember where you can set it, but basically, I don't know if you know there is this pattern of even redefining types. Like most of the time, when you use a context package, you set type myString string, just to make sure that no one else will be able to erase your value. It's a way to reserve your handle. So the only way to set it is by using your code. I just need to find where is it.
It is with value.
Yeah. When you do the with value, most of the time you do this. You do type something key string. So this way, if you name something like you name something language, but with a string or another type, which is it won't be this one. This was isn't exploited. It's just a way to make sure that you are not being erased, or you are using the good one. So to reply to you, Albert, this is a value. I don't know what it is, a strict, a string, a struct, just something that is used by helpers So if you look at this rule, exec as package could have the other helper looking especially at get context value and looking at this. I don't know about the API, it's just pseudocode, but the goal is to have a way to have a map of values associated to this current frame, not to the whole stack, to just this frame. So you can have this package doing it and the later doing also the same thing. And then as a callee, you can have helpers to just consume the information. Or not. You can just don't care about this, but if you're interested, you have ways to get the value of a specific color.
Okay. Can I add something on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to maybe clarify a little bit, can you go to the link I've just posted in the chat? It's about the transfer code.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, please.
This
so
one?
this is transfer. It works by getting the original color. So it's the one that signed the transaction, so the user, and transfer the amount from color to the address passed in parameters. So I think what you want to do when you set, for instance, your rules package as account to true, it will change when you are in transfer and you call get original color, it will not return the
this will return the same value whatever you put in the metadata. But you have option as a GRC20 implementer to make additional checks like color is the color, and you can decide to just look at this and don't care about any metadata. Or you can decide to maybe make something dynamic or just look at something else. But yeah, basically you can expect maybe in the rules, a user-land library to have helpers giving you the last claimed user, for instance, that will by default iterate over the colors, maybe just take the last one, look at this potential optional value. And if you don't have it, it will take the original color. But if you use get original color, there will be no change at all. The goal from context is to be used as user-land and to have options to create libraries that will both set context and use it. But the engine won't be aware of this, except that it implements the set and get value. Yeah.
So with your tag package as account, ideally your transfer method would check if this parameter, this tag is true. And if yes, maybe change the from address for the transfer.
For instance, it can be this. So this GRC20 can be finished. We can say that this implementation is only looking for the original color. Or maybe we can have the callee doing this check. Transfer. And here maybe color rules get color and check for package. For package claim. I don't know, to be honest, but that's the idea. But you can decide to just do get each color and it won't be changed at all.
So yeah, that's actually my point. I wanted to go there. So this is because method like transfer always takes the original color currently. And actually, there is a possible exploit in the current version of this foobar, but not foo20 in the link, because if you remove the set context or exec as PKG, you are a user, you call a contract A call foo20 transfer. It can move your front any way you want. There is what is missing in this transfer here is something that we have in STD2 is STD assert original color, because assert original color panics if it's not a direct call from the user.
You want this one here, but I think we should add this one, and context is a complementary way to have a way to discuss between contracts, between the callers and the callees directly or with grandparents. And then you can have a rules package helping making famous patterns. But the STD calls should stay like this. We should add the missing ones, and they are not looking for context. They are just working as of today.
I don't think we should pass any information like this. I think if you want to pass information or capabilities, it should be passed in as an argument. So if we can create a context or object and pass that around as an argument, but I don't think we should have a global context that we update like this, like no global variables or no environment variables and so on. Before, what I once mentioned in the meeting before that it would be nice to maybe what we want is we want a way to mark the taint, right? The frames, and the reason why was just to be able to say, but you can inspect the stack, and you can say who is my realm caller, right? So even if your caller, your immediate caller at 1 is a pure package, if you go up high enough, eventually you'll see the next realm, right? So simply by tainting the frame, the stack frame, to mark certain frames as being realm frames, you can implement this function. But I changed my mind. I think
This
there's
is
a lot of
get caller. It's exactly what this is exactly what get callers do.
Right. This is what, yeah. And I wrote, okay, so you made a PR and you proposed get caller, which does exactly that. And in a comment, I said we should rename that to get realm caller. So the caller, so if we just say caller without realm caller, so the difference between caller and realm caller is that a caller, it could also be a package, a pure package. Whereas if you want to say, whereas realm caller means, specifically get the realm one. So keep going until you find a realm package.
But the idea behind get caller was it can return a realm address, but it can also return the original address. And actually, what you think is realm like transfer, like realms that are using the caller to transfer tokens should always use get caller and never get original caller.
Yeah. So that's what and I agree with you. But it should be get realm caller, right? Yeah.
And so I'm fine with. So I think we are totally on the same point with get realm caller, and to like a package should not alter the states of the calling system. So I'm fine. We are on the same page for that. And just get caller, it's what was Thomas was explaining. If you use get caller directly in the realm, it's gonna return the original caller, which is the user. So get realm caller technically will not always be a realm. It could be also a user, like the address of the original user making the first transactions.
Yeah. I guess maybe. Why not? Maybe what we need to do, maybe what we want to do is perhaps like kind of auto generate a realm for every user. So it's always a realm, maybe. But if not that, it's just the user. Yeah. So if you're in the realm already, and then you call get realm caller, then yeah, maybe you get your user. But I think maybe the right way to do this is kind of to somehow either say users are realms, or to say every user has a realm. But in principle, I agree with you. Yeah, it should be the user, right?
Yeah,
it should be the user's realm if you're calling from the entry point of a smart contract. Yeah.
we discussed yesterday with Thomas, with a good friend, so that is a Solidity expert, to ask him what is done in Solidity. And basically what he told us that historically they were using TX origins, like we are doing with getOrigColor. And they had like a lot of securities, vulnerabilities and that. And now everybody is using the message sender, which is exactly what getColor is returning. It's the main idea.
Yeah. So I no longer think we should do frame tainting, and I think this get realm caller function solves a lot of problems, and I don't think we should pass. Excuse me. I don't think we should pass information through like set context or things like that, which could potentially be, one, it could potentially be vulnerable, right? So whatever it is, if you can set important things, then it'll be exploited at some point, right? It's probably got issues. And also it's I don't know, it's un-Go-like. Even in Go, generally you want to avoid global variables and things like that, and so if you want a context, you have an explicit context object that you pass around, for example, and I think that's good. So there should be no surprises about how information gets passed, and we should avoid these kinds of global environment variables as much as possible.
And this is like a kind of a really simple solution. Like it's not.
Yeah.
And following this getColor, just like it's just a questions currently on the frame system. So we are like, this system is just using kind of a loop to just come back in histories and get the like get the last one if it's a frame or not. What do you think about directly putting on the context, like adding a string color, or you think it's not needed because we can just compute it this way? What do you think?
Sorry, can you repeat that? What information?
So currently we are looping and we are just checking like if it's a color we add it or not. What do you think about just like on the so there is an array of frames, and what do you think about adding in the frame structures a color string, which the idea is every time we are currently we are looping history to get the color. My idea is that every time we have a new frame, we push who is the color inside. So rather than going back, just pushing the color inside. I don't have the answer. It's just a question, and just wanted to have your opinion.
Let's just loop for now.
I'm fine for looping for now, but I'm fine with looping for now. But it was like a suggestion maybe for the futures.
I'm sure in the future we'll want to maybe change it to be a little faster, but it'll make the code base more complex, and I think simple is good for now, and we may never need to change it. So just go with that.
Agree.
For your information, it's what I was calling UID in the struct.
That's what you call UID in the struct? Okay, I didn't get that.
I understood that you didn't get it. The goal was to switch from a single string to a struct, where we can give the current string as a value. But if we consider that this value is not the one you want because you need to process as other things, we can have, for instance, the color will be the same for 3 calls, for 3 frames, while basically it was a way to have a struct where some variable change each time and some other are just change when it makes sense.
Okay, no, so it's exactly the same system as color, just like that is writing directly in the frame, and you can get so it's technically we are joining with your UID. I was thinking your UID system was to directly be on the contract side and say like set UID and by setting UID. And
set UID was STD set UID was a reason to have this struct, an additional reason to have no struct more than a string, because if we want to have this kind of feature, it's mandatory to have such structure with more than one string. But yeah, the goal of my proposal is not only to manage this. This is just a justification of why we could want more complex structures. For me, it also makes sense just for addressing everything you had you in mind, because instead of having loop or thinking about anything, you make a single call, you get the frame, and here you have 2, 3 keys, 4 keys, one about the color, the realm, the user, whatever. So yeah, you don't have it's about having this, and then you have option to loop if for other reasons that I don't know, or you just take the last frame and look at the field which is interesting for you.
Okay.
And if we want sometimes to taint it like set UID, etc., it will make it, I think, mandatory just to not shadow important information. But if we don't do this, I think it's already an improvement.
Yeah.
So let's keep in mind for later maybe.
And this is kind of mandatory because I think it's Grep Suzette that asked on my PR to also add a function test get color to be able to force and set a color, which is currently not possible at the moment because we are looping on histories of colors. So this broke the system if we want to make that.
I think we should not add a test get color. We should just make get color working, including in the context of unit test with that's called test set color. Because the goal is not only from the test.gno file to get the color, it's also from your test file to import something which will have an std get color, not an std test get color. So I prefer to not add the test get color, just have a test set color, and then make the get color always working in any situation.
Sorry, I don't get what you want. A set color, like not test?
No, we actually have a test set color.
No, we have test set orange color. We don't have.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was thinking that I don't want a test get color that will be different from get color. I prefer to have test set color, and then only have get color always working, not only in one situation. So working in production, unit test, file test. I was just saying, please don't add the test get color, which would be different from get color. If we can make get color always working and concentrate on adding helpers to set the colors.
Yeah. But that's the issue is that we cannot have a test set color because we are not pushing a new color at every frame. Since we are like just reading histories, or we will need to put or make a hack or something like that to force it.
Yeah, I see. So maybe it's a justification to have a struct sooner than later. Even if we stay with the loop system for simplicity, we can just start returning a structure with 2 values instead of 1, maybe. I don't know. Let's think about this. But yeah, for me, at some point, we'll have a struct for such reasons and maybe for additional reasons, because I think frames will be useful for debugging and other things later. So let's consider that we will have a struct at some point. And as soon as we have good justification to implement it, we can start making it for good reasons, like having better testing functionalities.
Yep.
I need to go. I'm already late. I wait for the Peter joke, but is there something else to see urgently?
I was going to say that is there anything out of that list that needs to be that we can maybe wait for 2 weeks to talk about, or?
I personally want more time for IDE, so please, Ilker, keep it for later so you can have your time.
Yeah, I think Ilker said there was not updates this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe since you
I was planning to mention about testing, but anyway, I think I can do it next week.
Yeah, please.
So, Petar, send us off on a good note.
Yeah, so there was this C++ developer, and he was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and his girlfriend complained, "Come on, look at the warning, it's very bad for your health." And he said, "Warning? This is C++, we don't care about warnings, we only look at the compiler errors."
I'm not even a developer, and that's funny.
And actually, it goes in another discussion we had a few time ago about syncing the logging features at some point, because when things are the logs are either missing some important pieces or too noisy. So we had a discussion going in the direction of people ignoring warnings. That's not only in C++ actually. I don't know why it is, but yeah, we discussed with this more than two months ago, something. Do you remember, Miloš? It was with you, I remember.
I can't recall right now.
Yeah, but basically the thing was that sometimes we were missing some things that we want to add in the logging, and in the other direction we had made most of the time too many logs that we don't care, and that eventually makes sense more for debugging later. So that should be maybe moved in a single file, or maybe play with the various output streams so you can have important information for humans while storing the low-level debugging. Things to repair something after in a static file. But yeah, Peter, it's not only C++. We also have this issue of looking more at errors and fatals.
I also have another joke, but it's not really a joke. I can just show for everyone who's a developer, write a Go benchmark and profile it. It doesn't matter what it has inside, just profile it and see what the text is coming from the CLI profiling tool.
And then in 2 weeks, everyone comes back with this?
I'm gonna send you a link in the chat, and I want you to...
Is there an Easter egg?
I want you to open this link and carefully read. It's not the highlighted thing. Notice there are 5 columns, and they're column names. Read
okay.
Yes.
Cumulative, yeah.
Yeah. So this was done by Rob Pike, because Rob Pike is not only a physicist, a developer, but he's also a comedian, and he decided that he's gonna do this on purpose. And I've been laughing at this for 7 years now.
Okay, I tried to read in the code and did blame everything to understand. So yeah, I need to go. I'm late.
Thanks everyone.
It makes me think of the Easter eggs of Docker, the Docker name generator function.
Okay, next time maybe
never boring.
Boring, never boring. So it's an exception.
Everyone bring their best Easter eggs next time, no? Okay, we let everyone. We're over the time. So if there's nothing else, we see you guys in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.